Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Another day, another steaming heap of shill propaganda. This time, the Kremlin's creative department decided to try their hands at graphic design. And spoiler alert, they'd be better off just doing AI Studio Ghibli edits. So, what's the latest masterpiece from the Ministry of Lies? Well, a fake front page of the whole Daily Mail, a British local newspaper that's just trying to cover stuff like city council meetings and local fish and chip drama. But no, apparently, in Russian propaganda land, it's now a geopolitical powerhouse. The fake cover, dated March 13, 2025, screamed that 70,000 Ukrainian soldiers in the Kursk region died in vain. And according to the geniuses pushing this nonsense, the whole Daily Mail is fuming about European taxpayer money being wasted. Because of course, when you want to gauge international outrage about the war in Ukraine, you go straight to the northeast of England, where the biggest scandal is usually someone trying to deep fry a kebab. Now, here's the truth. That cover never happened. You won't find it in the archives, on their website, or their social media. And let's be real, if a small town newspaper in England was suddenly breaking international war news, the international media would have lost their minds. What did the whole Daily Mail actually run on March 13? A headline about a local boy found guilty of trying to attack someone with a sword. Tragic and bizarre, sure, but not exactly a story about a Ukrainian battlefield disaster. But here's the kicker. This fake headline didn't just pop out of nowhere. It was pushed by Andrei Telizhenko, a former Ukrainian official with a shady resume so full of Russian propaganda, it's practically a job application for RT. He's already sanctioned by the United States Treasury for his efforts, but apparently that's not stopping him from peddling Kremlin-sponsored garbage. Now, this latest attempt at narrative manipulation is all part of Russia's relentless campaign to convince everyone that Putin's special military operation is going swimmingly. The goal here is obvious: undermine Western support for Ukraine by claiming massive losses and wasted resources. But to do that, they had to Frankenstein together a local British tabloid headline to make it look like the West is losing patience. Here's a hint for the Kremlin. If you want your propaganda to stick, maybe try not putting your headlines in newspapers that are best known for front page splashes about missing pets and charity bake sales. Russia has always been the best at everything. Just ask Russia. They discovered America, built the pyramids, and probably invented fire. And now, with the grand 25th anniversary of Putin's eternal presidency, they've outdone themselves again. On state TV, Margarita Simonyan beams with pride. No country on earth has ever had such a leader, such a media empire, or such unquestioning obedience. Meanwhile, she sneers. The Americans don't even have state-run television to properly celebrate leaders. Can you imagine? No mandatory nationwide protests, no choreographed studio applauses, no political analysts poring over the divine brilliance of a man who's been in power longer than some of his citizens have been alive. What kind of democracy is that?
И сейчас их задача понять, чего им больше надо. Тех выгод, которые им сулит дружба с Россией, или тех выгод, которые им сулит раздербанивание Украины. Совершенно очевидно, что они этого до сих пор не поняли. Вот они все еще считают, подсчитывают, чего им больше надо-то. Осторожный оптимизм нам внушают как раз вот эти их каминг-ауты. Они делаются зачем? Любой человек, знакомый с пиаром, понимает, что это делается для подготовки общественного мнения. Залпами пошла эта подготовка общественного мнения. А иностранцы смотрят твою программу, Володь, запоем. Цитируют во всех на свете СМИ. Поэтому ты осторожно, знаешь. Что-нибудь как скажешь, потом это еще приукрасят, и все. И ты уже, войдешь в историю.
Да у меня уголовных дел.
Да.
Сколько хочешь.
Аналогично. Рассчитывать и даже по большому счету надеяться нельзя. Надеяться можно только на себя, на наши два основных союзника, армия и флот. И третьего, который на самом деле сейчас, поскольку война у нас воюющая, наш главнокомандующий первый, это Путин Владимир Владимирович. В связи с чем я хочу вспомнить о том, что мы на этой неделе вспомнили, что 25 лет, как наш президент стал президентом. Пришел Путин Владимир Владимирович, и мы вспомнили, что мы великая страна. И были великой страной еще до того, как Америку открыли как континент. Не говоря уже о том, до того, как Америка стала страной как государством, да? В конце 18 века, когда у нас уже Петр I давно умер. Мы уже были очень-очень великой страной. И вдруг мы про это вспомнили, и не просто вспомнили, а прониклись. И вдруг мы прониклись так, что мы стали что-то делать, чтобы эту свою страну восстанавливать. А можно себе было представить, что мы вернем Крым? Нет. А можно себе было представить, что мы будем вести войну, по признанию Нью-Йорк Таймс, с Америкой, и будем ее выигрывать, как сейчас каждый день.
Now, over on Solovyov's Grand Inquisition Hour, the festivities are in full swing. The panelists are practically glowing as they fantasize about the coming Russian victory in Ukraine, in Europe, and maybe on the moon. A full 25 years of strategic genius, they proclaim. Let's just not dwell on the wars, the economic crisis, or the fact that Russia's brightest minds are fleeing the country faster than state TV can deny it. It's really a sight to behold, an entire media empire built around the eternal rule of one man, celebrating his achievements as if they aren't the direct cause of the country's decline. But in Simonyan's world, that's not the point. The real victory isn't in reality, it is in the narrative. And in Russia, the story always ends the same way the Kremlin writes it, until, of course, it doesn't. Russia loves slapping the neo-Nazi label on everyone. Ukraine, Baltics, Canada, probably even Antarctica if they squint hard enough. But when it comes to their own backyard, suddenly the keen Kremlin eyes develop a rather convenient case of selective blindness. Enter Rusich, a proudly neo-Nazi paramilitary group that fought under the Wagner Group banner. Apparently, Nazis are only bad when they don't fight for Moscow. Now, the latest entertainment in Russian propaganda circle isn't just the usual feverish rants about the West's moral decay, but an internal squabble that's playing out like a bad soap opera on Telegram. The distinguished gentlemen of Rusich are feuding with pro-war Russian blogger Razvedos over, what else? A Ukrainian propaganda video. The clip, depicting Russian soldiers as murderers and child kidnappers, struck a nerve with the Rusich, but not in a way that you'd expect. So instead of the usual boilerplate denials, Rusich actually praised the Ukrainian video. This is exactly what our own Ministry of Defense should be making, they declared, as if lamenting that Moscow's propaganda isn't bold enough in showcasing the glorious war crimes of Russian forces.
Makes a man, is it the power in his hands? Is it his quest for glory? Give it all you got to fight to the top, so we can know your story. Now you're a man, now you're a man, man. You are now a man, you're a man. Now you're immortal.
So now we have a bizarre spectacle. A Russian state propaganda trying to paint itself as the good guys, while one of its most notorious far-right militant groups throws a tantrum because the official messaging isn't unhinged enough for their taste. It's a little like watching a gang of arsonists argue over whether the fire should be bigger. But don't worry, this ideological spat won't last. In Russia, reality is always flexible. Soon enough, the Kremlin will find a way to frame Rusich as misunderstood patriots, rather than the actual neo-Nazis they claim to be fighting. The only question is, will anyone beside their own propaganda echo chamber actually believe them? And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to DVP World.